In this video, I'm going to talk about another issue that thousands of grapplers all over the world have in regards to having back control, and that's hand fighting. Hand fighting to work to basically finish your submissions. That's the main reason why you're hand fighting. You want to free your hands so you can attack for whatever submission it is. In a no-gi scenario, more often than not, that submission is going to be a rear naked choke. And you're also hand fighting in the fact that you want to stop him from picking at your hands because he's doing the hand fighting because he doesn't want to get submitted. He wants to stop you from getting your attack so then that way he can escape and then try to flip the script and do offensive movements on you. All right. So, and usually whoever wins the hand fight is going to control the situation in the sense that the person will dictate who does or does not get the submission. What I mean is, if I have Russ here and we're gonna do all these movements leaning. The reason we're doing all these movements leaning to a side is because I've never personally seen anybody roll live and attack for submissions like this. I'm very guilty, and even some of my old videos, and the concepts still apply, but they don't apply as well when you're leaning. The concepts still apply when you're sitting up, but when you see even me or other people showing hand fighting from here, it's just unrealistic, all right? This is a sit-up neutral position that just does not happen in grappling. You're either here, boom, on your strong side, or you're here on your weak side. Or you're here up like this, okay? Those are the three main things that happen. There are different variations that do go on with the back mount, but those are the three main situations that happen when you're in a live roll. All right, you're either leaning the person or the person's leaning themselves on purpose. So when I'm here like this, boom, I get the person's back and he's hand fighting me and trying to stop me from going for I'm trying to go for my rear naked chokes. I'm trying to finish him. I might be trying to like trap his arm and so on and so forth, right? But so go ahead, start pulling at my wrists and my hands. He's fighting me. I'm trying to do all these different things to break off. It becomes frustrating. It becomes hard to do, and it's also hard for you to get the submission, even though you're in the most dominant position in jiu-jitsu. This is considered the most dominant position in jiu-jitsu, but you can go 5 minutes without ever submitting your opponent because there was a constant hand fight. So we're going to give you some tips to deal with this. Now, first thing, if you're on your strong side, right, when I'm here like this, even if he's pulling on my hands, I need to put pressure into the back of his shoulder. I need to put some sort of pressure into the back of his shoulder, and I also want to keep some sort of ideally some sort of pressure into the front of his bottom shoulder as well. The reason being is because if I release this pressure, and he's doing his hand fighting, I release the pressure of his shoulder, he now has the ability to flatten his body out and start working to possibly escape. Now I can go for hug chokes, and there's other things that I can do because he's escaping from my strong side. However, it does increase the chances of him escaping. So when we're here like this and we're back, just kind of turn your hips back, here I want my shoulder attached to his shoulder here. Because now when he goes to flatten, it becomes much harder for him to do. So now I can start working my hand fighting and all these different things. Now the first thing, the most common thing is the one-on-one. So I'm here like this. With the one-on-one here, this is where I take my left hand, which is the top arm, inside, and I grab his left hand, okay? I didn't say left wrist. I grab his left hand. The reason why I don't grab his left wrist is because it's easier for him to turn his hand and start curling everything out here. But when I grab his hand, when he goes to do this same thing, it becomes much harder for him to do. I can now control his hand much better. Ideally controlling around the thumb or controlling all 4 fingers like this, controlling the palm of his hand. Because now when he goes to move, it's much harder. Then I can start using this to possibly walk with my finger. I walk my fingers up, start going for my choking position. I can either go for a one-handed choke, or I can let go and quickly go for a rear naked choke or a short choke. So that's one thing. When you get the one-on-one, I recommend fight the hands, don't fight the wrists. Wrists are much easier for him to beat. Here, it actually hurts my wrist, holding his wrist. But when I hold his hand, much harder. And then I can actually use that to start trapping his arm, and then I can start going for my submission on him as well. So that's the first thing. The next thing here, boom, we're back on the strong side. Here, right? We're working. So he's fighting. Look, see how his hand is on top of my hand here. I'm blocking his shoulder. I'm actually trying to put some torque underneath his neck to twist him a little bit. I'm going to take his hand and I'm going to grab the top of the, so just come here. I'm going to grab the top of his thumb here, like this. My goal is to get underneath his hand, right? Whoever's underneath the person's hand is probably going to be the winner. So if he's under my hand, here, I can't do these things. He's under my hand. I can't do these things now because he's blocking. But if I'm under his hand, boom, and I'm able to cover, so now go to stop. Here, look what he's doing. As soon as I get this, just bring this off. As soon as I get the meat of my fingers underneath the meat of his thumb here, like this, when he goes to rip my hand off, he ripped his own hand off. Right? So all I want to do is get underneath his hand, grab. I want to grab like this, and I will literally let him rip my hand off. And now he gives me the choke here. Because while he's ripping my hand off, he's ripping his hand off as well. He's actually helping me. So the combined forces of me trying to pull his hand off and him trying to pull my hand off of his hand actually rips his hand off. It's like, it's one of those things where like he might feel a little stupid after this happens. Okay, so I'm here, boom, boom. I'll use the combination of number one. One, clear it out, two. And then I'll grab. I'll grab, I'll start rip. Now he goes to rip my hand off. Bam, he rips his own hand off. And now I have my position and I can start going for my choke. I like going for short chokes a lot. Sometimes I feel like they're stronger than rear naked chokes. They're also quicker. So those are some things in regards to hand fighting when you're on the strong side. Let's talk about when we're on the weak side, all right? The weak side is a little bit different because if you are on the weak side, things change. And it's also much, much harder to go for rear naked choke submissions and so on and so forth from that side. More often than not, you're doing your hand fighting so you can get back to the strong side. So we're here like this. I have my position, and now we're on the weak side. So now if we fall on the weak side, the hand that I'm actually focusing on is not this one as much. All right. The reason being is because I don't technically want to be on the weak side. So one of the first things that I like to do is I like to come over here like this, and I like to get a grip on his bottom arm here. The reason being is because if I have a grip on his bottom arm, even when I get like a Kimura grip, I like to get a Kimura grip on his bottom arm. When he goes to flatten his body to the mat, he can't do it. It's very hard. So I actually, when I'm on the weak side, I don't focus as much on this arm here. I focus on this arm, the bottom one. Because once again, I'm thinking about what does he need to do? What does he need to accomplish to escape? He needs to flatten his back to the mat so he can get out. Right? So what do I need to do to stop him? I'm trying to go for my submissions and everything else. Right? I can't get it. Boom. Here. I'll get basically a 2-on-1, or I'll get a Kimura grip on him here. Okay? Now, we're here like this, and he's pulling on my arm. Start pulling my arm. I'll start using my legs to start working to rip his arm off. It doesn't always work here, but I'm here. I'm trying to work to get this off. But at the same time, I'll start walking my hands up. I'm using the pressure of my leg on his arm to help me do a spider hands up his arm. So we just turn a little bit this way. So I'm coming here, right? This is if I want to go for a rear naked choke on my weak side. I'm here like this. He's fighting. One, I'm just using my leg to help keep some pressure down so I can go for my submission. And then I don't let go of this if I'm going for a choke on the weak side. I go for one-arm chokes here, and then I'll go to finish. The reason why I don't let go of this is because as soon as I let go, here, he could drop his head possibly to the other side and get out. You're basically, you gave up a whole entire opportunity to go for a submission on the weak side. So usually I'll still keep a grip on this arm and I'll just go for a one-arm choke on the weak side. Or I'll use the whole hand fighting thing to get him back to the strong side. So we're here. Boom. One. So let's say I couldn't grab with this hand yet because this hand is on top. Right? So I can't grab here. And I can't even take this hand out from this way. Instead of going up, I'll go under. Usually if you can't go one direction, you can go the other direction. So here, I can't take my right hand because he's pulling. I physically can't take my right hand this direction. I can't move my left hand because he's covering it, right? So I go the other way. Now I have the grip. Now I have the Kimura grip here. Now when he goes to flatten his back to the mat, he can't. I post my foot, come here. Now we do all the hand fighting stuff that we did on the other side. And then we start working to finish from there. So if we do that one more time. We're here, right? I can't grab. I can't do anything. I go under, over, rip, grab. And now I get my grip here, like this. Okay? I'm also holding his hand. If I can get the hand, I usually favor the hand. All right? Because once again, he has the ability to turn his wrists and start getting out. When I have the hand, he goes to turn his hand. It's much more difficult for him to do. Okay? Now from here, if I can't get the grip, I'll pull his arm up, get my hook back in. I planted my foot to get to the other side, get my hook back in, and then I'll do all the things that we went over on the strong side. That's just talking about strong side, weak side. We didn't even talk about when the person is like elevated up, kind of like that bridging position. And we'll talk about that in another video on the Grapplers Guide. So if you're a Grapplers Guide member, look out for that video. I might even already have that video on the Grapplers Guide. So these are some tips for hand fighting, especially without the gi on. Play around with them. If you have any questions or comments, post below. Peace.